Today's video, we're partnering up with Accountability, a tax and accounting firm. One of the most common things said to me when I talk to a traditional real estate investor is, I own several rentals, but I just don't make enough each month. And in some cases, if they own the right short-term rental in their portfolio, they'll say this too. So one property outperforms like 10 other doors?
Like 30.
Like 30 other doors?
So
how many rentals do you really need to feel rich? Or better yet, how many to quit your day job? In today's video, I'm going to break it down into 4 different categories. One is single door long-term rentals, which is traditional real estate investing. Second is single door mid-term rentals, which is corporate medical housing. Third, single door short-term rentals. Think about Airbnb, bust, or arbitrage. And then fourth, I'm going to give you some alternatives that me and thousands of others are doing right now in addition to all of these. Now, the typical long-term rental purchase today will actually lose you money, doesn't really make you anything. But if you purchased anything a couple years ago, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, the typical investor will probably see approximately $500 a month of profit, which really isn't that bad. Now, the median American income is about $5,000 a month. So if you want to replace your income, that means you would need to own at least 10 different homes to replace your income, or get roughly $4 million in mortgages and come up with approximately $800,000 cash for the down payments, all to make $60,000 a year. Doesn't seem super great, does it? Especially when this one door makes more than that and costs only $125,000, not $4 million. But we'll get to that later in the video. Now, switching over to midterm rentals that primarily cater to traveling professions such as corporate or business travelers and medical personnel such as traveling nurses and doctors. The amount of profit varies here greatly, and monthly profits can be as high as $2,000 a month. But you're also contending with occupancy issues between tenants, so in reality, the profitability is probably closer to the $1,000 a month range. So replace that median American income at $5,000 a month, you'll need to find 5 midterm rentals, or approximately $2 million in mortgages, $400,000 in cash for down payments and closing costs, and another approximate $150,000 in furniture and upgrades. Then you have the STR or short-term rental option that targets overnight travelers and vacationers. Now, this range can vary dramatically, and the hype that you usually see is around the top 10 or top 5% of the market. But in reality, that bottom 80 to 90%, they're average STRs in the cities or suburbs, and they are probably just above break even, if not at break even. But let's say optimistically that the basic STR in America profits about $1,500 a month. We would only need 3.3 homes or $1.4 million in mortgages, $280,000 in cash to secure these loans, and another $125,000 for furniture and upgrades. And after doing this for nearly 20 years and working with literally thousands of real estate investors, all these numbers are actually pretty accurate for the average person here in the United States. Now, naturally, the STR route, or the vacation home investing route, looks like the best strategy. Way less money up front, you're not having to do as many purchases, yet you get very similar results faster. But even with STRs, there can be even more management issues and occupancy problems. Keep watching because I'm going to share that alternative that combines the pros from all these categories here in a second. Now, this is the reason why traditional real estate methods don't really work. It's meant to be a decades-long investment strategy. It's never meant to make money right away or in the short term. But if you do, fantastic, that's great. You got really lucky, or you played your cards really, really well. But for the vast majority of other real estate investors, that's not how it works. The median price of a home in the US is around $400,000. The median rent in the US is $1,700. Let's say that we do 20% down, which is $80,000, with a mortgage rate at 7.5% on $320,000. That's $2,237 a month to service that loan. We haven't even factored in other essentials such as property tax, insurance, management, or maintenance, which would easily take us up to over $3,000 a month. But just for the sake of this example, let's keep it at $3,000 a month. That's a far cry from the median rent of $1,700, meaning that you're losing somewhere around $1,300 every single month just by buying this investment property. And it gets worse if you put less of a down payment down too. Now, this is the problem with long-term rentals. Most investors only realize this until they're in the game with several mortgages and an underwhelming portfolio, and a lot of time managing issues. The economics simply do not work in the short term. And even if you were able to squeeze out a small profit each month, you're completely tapped out in funds and ability to qualify for new loans after maybe 2 or 3 homes for the average American. All right, I want to take a moment and tell you a secret that helped me save and make a lot of money in my 20s. It was understanding taxes. Now imagine not having to legally pay taxes just because you have a great strategy. All the while, you're making more money. That's what happens when you work with tax professionals and strategists, or you understand tax law and tax code. And with the tax season just around the corner, I want to invite you to work with Accountability Tax and Accounting Firm. In full transparency, this is a company I'm a part of because I love what they're doing, and they've been doing my personal and business taxes for the past 18 years. They're masters with real estate investments and entrepreneurs running businesses. Now, we can even do cost segregation for you to take advantage of bonus depreciation. Now, if you don't understand what I just said, I don't blame you. But you can set up a free call with my main accountant, Kevin Smoot, and he can get you all squared away. Link down below. Now, there are only 4 ways to make it work with traditional long-term rentals. The first is to put a very large down payment. And what you're essentially doing is you're buying down the loan to reduce your monthly payments. Now, this is a financial cardinal sin, giving up loads of your cash when you don't have to. Second is being in a low interest environment, which can provide a great way to enter a market. In our example before, the same mortgage would only be $1,400 a month instead of $2,200 a month. Now, keep in mind that rents are also typically cheaper in low interest environments. Third is having a high inventory, low price environment, which is really ideal since your equity appreciation and rental income increase will naturally go up over time and you tend to be more profitable faster. Then there are the pro plays where you find distressed properties, fix them up, upgrade or do full rehabs, jack up the rents, and then make sure you're cash flow positive as well as you creating a substantial amount of equity. Lastly, massive volume. Now we are talking about leveraging incredible amounts of money and using private equity to acquire hundreds and thousands of doors. Not something most of us have regular access to. Now that's the basic strategy of traditional real estate investing in a nutshell. And we still haven't factored in upkeep, evictions, non-paying tenants, teams, or the fact that every long-term rental will be trashed and damaged in a few years' time. Think about how badly rental cars are abused. Now think about those same people living in your home. Now I know Section 8 housing investing has gotten really big the last couple years, I'm not sure why, but you can't pay me enough to have to deal with that demographic of late payments, damaged properties, and high expectations. You know how short-term rentals are a little bit then?
I have one, and it's a pretty resounding success so far. I put a lot of time and effort and energy into it, and so
one property outperforms like 10 other doors.
Like 30.
Like 30 other doors?
Because yeah.
Now, this is why the majority of long-term investors who literally own dozens of doors still feel poor and don't see any major headway in cash flows or equity because you've been taught to have quantity versus quality. But there's an alternative that you can add to any portfolio that will change the way that you look at real estate. Add land and unique short-term rentals into your portfolio. This is Brian, and in 1 year, he identified a market in Georgia, bought 12.5 acres, redid the main house, and it went from this to this, and he bought the property for only $362,000 in 2023, and it was just reappraised at $665,000 with his improvements. Oh yeah, he's already break even each month on the property as well, and plans to launch his new container and dome home in the next month that will generate anywhere between $4,000 and $7,000 a month off one property in just over a year. This is also Kapina and Shan in Hawaii, where they purchased 5 acres that were completely wrecked by the previous owner. They were able to get it and negotiate it down to $265,000. They put $250,000 in improvements into the main home and the property and added a dome home. And the property just appraised this past year for $1.6 million and making just under $6,000 a month while living on the property in their paradise home. And here's Jenny, an absolute rock star in Tennessee, where she purchased 5 acres with a unique home on it already and then ended up adding another small cabin to her lot and immediately boosted her equity by creating over $150,000 and an additional $7,000 a month in income. Now, when you do this, we start seeing returns in the 12 to 18 months instead of 5, 10, 20 years like traditional rentals. And with one smart purchase, you can make more from one property than 10, 20, or even 30 long-term rental doors. That's because short-term short-term rentals naturally tap into a group willing to pay a premium, and you are forcing equity creation through the process of setting up that property. Instead, when we look at long-term rentals and sometimes even mid-term rentals, where you're usually just using builder-grade materials and furniture meant for rentals, which really means just low quality that no real home buyer or any type of bank would ever value at a high dollar value. However, in the vast majority of our short-term rentals, we are using high-end products and materials that last longer and inherently increase the value of the entire property. If you want to learn more about this method, I've got a bunch of free training and tools that you can check out just down below. And if you're really serious, set up a call with me and my team and let's see what you've got going on and if our coaching platform can help you. Links all down below. Now go check out how one of my students, Eder, made $300,000 in equity and $15,000 a month in about 18 months on one piece of land in Texas with tiny homes. I'll see you guys later.